Well, good evening, everybody, and welcome to TFC Open Mic Season 3, Episode 17, which I kind of titled today Over What? As in, over damage, over the FM, over bounty. So tonight, got a couple folks on with us. Of course, we've got Liam, who is hanging out in his specky hotel room.
Good evening. Hey, you made that sound sleazy.
I said specky, I didn't say sleazy.
All right, okay. All right. Yeah.
Well, we know Lucy's with you, so we know it's not sleazy.
That's why it's sleazy.
And then we have Brian. Hey, Brian.
And next week, Liam's up running the TFC because he has been murdered, probably by Lucy.
She will kill me one day.
And Sol has joined us today as well. Hey, Sol.
Howdy, howdy.
Oh, well, we did have Venom there for a second.
And he's gone.
A cameo by Venom. Hopefully he'll be back soon. Okay, so of course the big news this week was that we had a release. We had a couple things happen. First off, they broke the countermeasures, and that has subsequently been fixed so that people can now do their FM. Of course, they blocked access to the 111 and 103 targets for the Dragons, but they did increase the price back for folks that are using the older fleets. And then they brought out this wonderful new thing called over damage, which is basically guaranteed damage on 3 particular weapons in the game right now. It's the LT, I think it is LT-100 rocket from the FM, the D-55 missile that belongs with the Storm Cruiser, and then the 2X Q-Mort. And so I'm just going to pause there. And Liam, I know you had some stuff to talk about.
Well, with regards to over damage, I mean, how long have you got? Yeah, I mean, I am very, very frustrated by it, to tell you the truth. You know, for the last in early 2018, you know, I came back into the game. Everyone knew about that, and you know, really focused on catching up and sort of relearning aspects of the game, certainly PvP. And for the last 4 months or 3.5 months, you know, whatever long it's been, we have been learning PvP again. You know, we've been learning it based upon maths and principles given to us by Kixeye. And what annoys me the most is they've just at a flip of a dice have just introduced this magic, you know, new stat that basically just changes everything. You know, I mean, the money we've spent on fleets and the time and effort we've put into design our bases and our strategy, and in just one foul swoop, Kixeye just changed a lot. You know, it's so annoying. You know, a siege missile is probably the weapon that benefited the most because it was getting a 360 pass through on explosive and a 360 pass through on penetrative, and now it's getting 1,700 on both. You know, it's shredding fleets and shredding bases, whereas before it couldn't. And yeah, I mean, it's so frustrating. It is so frustrating as a player to spend all that time and money building a base that's a solid base that holds out, you know, 99.9% of the people that come in the channel, to literally anyone that turns up on your door is smashing your base now. And that, you know, if I can understand that Kixeye introduces changes. I can understand that they wanted, you know, they're making an effort to try and balance whatever they're trying to do. What I don't understand is why the hell do it one day before a PvP event? Why make such a dramatic change to PvP one day before the PvP event? This should never, ever have came to light pre-bounty. Post-bounty, maybe. There should have been a post saying, hey, guys, we're going to change something. We're going to introduce this. Give people a chance to do something about it. Give people a chance to start building for it. But don't just roll it out before a PvP event and say, hey, guess what? Your bases are now, you know, easy to get into and enjoy bounty. We may change it after.
I think just to clarify, I know the original intent was to, I believe, based on what we've read, but the original intent was to be able to kill the guard ships and fleets inside the map targets for bounty, because as you know, in a regular base, I just have to get 50%. And the OP, I don't have to kill the guard, but in the NPC targets, you have to actually kill the guard. So I think the intent was to assist with that, but then, you know, not realizing the whole unintended consequences. Well, you've changed it game wide, so now basically everybody's hosed.
Well, they did mention player bases as well, and there are
I mean, there are some things that it does correct. The problem is I think the way that they had done it and to the extent that they had done it. I think if they introduced a new, essentially, we'll call it a new mechanic, right? And what they did was go, okay, well, the pass through is for the weapon itself is this, because in the past we used to always have a minimum damage, and then they called it pass through so they could apply it to the armors. But now they want to go back and change minimum damages. Why just not call it minimum damage and put it under the attack line?
Yeah,
I mean, we all know what it is, and then we can kind of adjust.
Well, yeah, exactly. I actually said this on a post earlier today, George. I said the exact same thing. Why not just say minimum pen pass through on this weapon is 1,000? You know, I mean, why not just label it as that? Why not introduce it as a new thing? I mean, the game's already seriously complicated. Why keep introducing these new words and phrases? I mean, we all know what this is.
Yeah, and no, I mean, I said that the very first time I saw it too, and I've had some people come back to me and tell me that there are certain people sitting around telling everyone, everybody on like the test servers and everybody that's doing this and that got to get kicked because we're all idiots because we said okay to this stuff and all that crap. I just want to clarify something before I really start going on a rant. Anybody that is asked into the test server or does any of that kind of testing for them, we are testing certain mechanics. We never saw this. They have never, ever, ever let us know that this was coming in any venue. In any venue at all that I have access to, they've never told us this was coming. Okay. Mm-hmm. The stuff that like balance, like everyone's complaining about, like, or a raid target or this and that, we can tell them what we'd like for balance. I don't know that they've ever listened. Okay. To be honest, because I've always been like, hey, I want like X, Y, or Z to be able to do this many targets and this, right? Because we used to have, back in the day, it used to be 1 gold for 1 million, right? When we needed like 40 million points. If you're at the top level and you've invested, time, money, sweat, and tears into the hulls for your raid or whatever. So everybody in those test servers, I hope y'all understand what actually goes on, because I am seriously getting annoyed at people coming back and going, oh, everybody in there is idiots and they all got to get fired. And I mean, hell, there's one guy in my alliance that's going around telling everybody we should all get kicked because we don't know what the hell we're doing. I mean, that's fine, but we're not the ones that have the decision on balance, and we don't have a decision on them doing this. I mean, if they had asked us, I mean, Liam said it, I've said it, call it fucking minimum damage like it used to be. We all know what it is.
We can only test what we're given to test, and a lot of times, and I was just thinking of that this morning actually, because there was this, and there've been quite a few things that have been released that we were for want of a better word, blindsided just like everybody else. Yeah.
But do you know what? Do you know what frustrates me even more is the fact that they turned around and said, "Oh, maybe this isn't so good. I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll change it again on Monday." Well, what's the use on Monday? Like, the PvP event's on now. Like, do you know how frustrating Sunday's going to be when you've got to get that 57k checkpoint and anyone that decides to turn up to your base can get in it?
Yeah.
I mean, and do you know what makes that the second turn to that even worse? Is it's not like I can go out and say, you know what, let's do a Liam 99, let's throw on a few thousand coins, let's just change everything, adapt to the changes, put the guards in. I can't even do that because they're going to change it again on Monday,
and we don't even know what it is.
Yeah.
I can't even change. I can't even adjust fleets because for all I know, I'll have to adjust them again come Monday.
I mean, here's the thing too, Liam. You kind of skirted around a subject that I've brought up, and I know some people agree, some people don't. The best bounty that we've had so far was 2 bounties ago, and part of the reason was that it was much, much harder to get into bases, right? The weight was on the defender side. And the thing is players are, especially after the last couple of years, players are very, very loss averse. They don't like loss. They don't like damage. It's something that's been kind of baked into us now because we've been playing for so long. And I know some of the developers haven't been there that long and they might not understand where that came from, but the best bounties that have happened from the player side, from what I've heard from players, is when you don't have as big of a chance of losing a ton of bounty. I mean, I got on yesterday. I hadn't been able to play all day. I went and whacked. I mean, I got like 23,000 bounty in a couple of hours hitting some poor bastards that were out trying to grind away, because it's easy. I can walk into anything.
Okay. We just pause for a second. I know Venom has been sitting there quietly and restraining himself. I got an ugly PM from Venom last night with a picture of what he is showing, and so I am going to actually share it here. Venom is not a happy camper.
Venom, I've seen you redesigned. That looks better than your old design.
This is what happens.
I'm just
Your walls are crooked, dude. Fix them.
This
know,
is what
straighten that
happens
out.
when they make small changes to ships without telling anyone. You then spend a few thousand coins fixing your base so it works, and then the next day they change the game completely.
Yep.
Venom.
You, and directing Hixai specifically, you have to tell the people what's going on, when it's going on, because people who are going to spend thousands of coins fixing up their base are going to get very upset and quit if you change it the next day.
And I can verify that only because I've had the pleasure of Venom in my neck of the woods, and watching the base hits. I mean, I don't spend the coin like he does, but watching the base hits and him and a couple of others of the SDS7 folks, and it's always good to learn and see how the big boys play and everything. And just overnight, it was like, wow, really good battle. This guy really fought, brought 2 fleets in, tried to make it to, oh my God, Venom, get good. It was just, I couldn't believe how much it changed and how quickly.
And I have a prime example, because I was lucky. I don't know. it was kind of a fluke to have this, but someone hit my base with Mauler and 4 MSC just before the change, and then someone hit the same player with the exact same fleet and used the exact same attack style, hit my base after the change. Now on the hit before the change, he didn't even get 50% and died, and on the hit after the change, he 100%ed me and killed my guard. Which is my guard's never even been fully killed, I don't think.
Well,
So,
I think that's that last sentence is what I think they were trying to correct a little bit of. And I actually was lucky enough where my base design was kind of set up enough where I didn't have to mess with it too much, and I've been okay-ish on base hits. But the problem is that's not everybody. I mean, they don't account for all the players. And I know, Liam, you spent a ton on your base guard, and now in one night it's went from being able to just take everything to dying, right?
yeah, exactly.
And we haven't even had, we've only had what, 2 wardens and this new flag. So after this week, you could have at max 3 tier 7 defenders, and the best thing would have just been to put tier 7 conquerors in your base, which is literally not their job. When I think about it, based on what they mentioned, and from a game design perspective, I think they're a bunch of idiots. They missed something incredibly massive, and any logic path that I try to go down just leads to, how could you not have seen this coming? They already know that players use conquerors as defenders because of their great power and damage reload, things like that. They're good at damaging things, sometimes including other ships. And it's created a knock-on effect where if you don't have 2/7 hulls, you are in a very bad way against anyone that does try to come in with these new weapons, one of which is in the FM, by the way. So they're quite easy to get, even if the other weapons may not be in raid. Multiplying the damage by 5 for weapon type, that's really, really bad. From the start of the year, we knew going forward that PvP would be redone, and we figured that down at the end of the line, everything would be okay, and we could see the pieces falling into place. First, we had those 60k deflection plates on 3 types. Then we saw the MC plate, the Howie. There's a clear, build counter build, even though they're sometimes released within a few days of each other. Then things get better as we get more group bonuses, this and that. So you can see where it goes at the end. But this throws everything for a loop, and it just seems like they didn't see this coming. But I don't see how they could have not seen it. They're giving us defenders with the same.
I want to know. I want to know what they. I want to know what they tested this against.
Pardon?
I want to know what they tested it against. I mean, they, you had to test this, right? I mean, whose bases did they test this on? What builds did they test it on? I'd like to know.
And their reasoning was trash. Like, it's so bad. Like, if you are going to say, oh, it takes too long to kill defender holes, why did you release defender holes in the current state? Why were those not tested? You even had additional months before you brought out the first defender hole in this category, the Warden. And in replica bases, I think that they could have hopefully done something where getting 50% on one of those targets, I think, can be difficult to measure. But I think what they could have done is priority buildings, like how they make in the targets, the PvE targets, where you don't have to kill everything, just certain ones with a flag. You flag the OP. You can try to flag other buildings as best you can.
Yeah, turrets and the OP. You know, ignore the warehouses and the oil rigs and all the other stupid stuff on the outside.
Yeah, and there's things about that too. It's like, oh, people could put their OP up at the front, but whatever, they're throwing PvP. Deal with it. They're one in a pool of thousands, and you've got so many bases that are palaces and other sorts of, FU kicks and all sorts of nonsense. So that's just another in the category of easy to break bases, like Venoms, which I am now naming the shaft-based design because that's what Kicks has given the PvPs.
Just on the words of testing, I have a fairly good idea that they've just tested the tier 7 hulls themselves, and they've only done 1 versus 1 with the hulls. So they've seen the damage is reasonable 1 versus 1, but when you get 5 versus 1, it's a joke.
I mean, and the whole thing is woefully ignorant too, about tier 6 defenders. And just putting it on the new weapons, it's sort of understandable because otherwise then the Chaos Chain Gun is super strong, and that's why they didn't actually increase the pass-through on some of them, because then it's this weird game where you bring in Chaos Chain Guns and melt everything.
The thing is...
Go ahead.
The thing is, what they labeled this update as, they labeled it as to correct a problem, and quite honestly, I could sit there. We could all sit down now and probably roll off 10, maybe even 20 ideas of how they could have resolved this problem. And bottom of that list as probably the dumbest idea ever is what they've done. Over damage. Let's increase the damage these ships do. That would to me would be the absolute dumbest idea of all of it.
Hold on, it's even worse if you think about it, because they're saying it's to correct an issue. Why don't they correct the actual issue instead of put a band-aid on it? Because this kind of reminds me of the Muddle Missile. It comes out, it messes everything up, and instead of toying or tweaking the Muddle Missile, they start trying to counteract it in other aspects, which kind of threw everything in for a loop, right? And it kind of has the same exact feel.
They're still correcting the Muddle Missile as well. That was one of the issues previous, where you could have one eviscerator doing well versus the 5 missile cruisers, and now you need 2 to kill at the same pace.
Well, they're not going to get killed now anyway, because 3 shots from an MSC.
Now they're just getting rid of the eviscerator completely. I just think it's a baffling and frankly shocking level of incompetence on behalf of the people who came out with this. It hasn't been tested well. It hasn't been thought through well enough either.
Well, and that's a key thing, and George touched on it with the folks that are involved with the testing, and we can only test what's out there to be tested. But every company I've been involved with, gaming, whatever, you have a group of players that you share things with and you share ideas with, and I don't think, and I've seen this across, and I was actually doing some research last night on this because I was so frustrated. I've only ever seen, when they throw stuff like this out that fundamentally changes a mechanic, and they don't talk to people within the game, it always ends up breaking the game or causing massive amounts of angst. And the fact that nobody heard about this and it kind of was put in at the last minute, leads to that whole QA/communication. And it's was this such a last minute thing that they didn't have time? But holy cow, people talk to people and at least give the opportunity to speak through it, because how many people have scrapped, how many people have walked, how many people are not spending, how many people, I'm way higher in the bounty leaderboard than I normally am. I can tell that participation is down and people don't care anymore, and they're not inclined to play the game, and they're not inclined to participate in bounty because of it.
Yeah,
Their
Jonathan,
faith is all gone.
hang on a second. Sol, sorry, we haven't heard from you yet.
It seems like they had, that what was their main problem? Their main problem was the high health ships, right? The 2 million ships that they couldn't kill and these targets, right? Well, my thinking is what they should have done was target only the tier 7 holes that have the 2 million, health, and then make it so that the tier 6s and belows, because that's what a lot of people are complaining about. My tier 6 and below are utter crap. Scrap them. Well, what they could have done is implemented a type of solution that could only target the the tier 7 holes. But I mean, I haven't seen that much, in what I've seen with my base hits. They've pretty much failed so far, but I haven't been getting hit that much. But I have seen people hit bases, and I've seen people hitting fleets. They die fast, very fast. Well, it's the King's Ritz that were, almost unstoppable from what I've seen. People's builds with King's Ritz were unstoppable, are now sinking like pebbles. So it does seem really strenuous, and the fact that they did this right before bounty it's another money grab. That's what it is.
I've seen people replying. I had a few harsh comments about some of the stuff, and not harsh comments, but I made a few posts where I was quite disgruntled about it. And I did see someone reply to a comment and say that, don't worry, put the new turrets in your base, and then you're going to kill everything anyway. That's really besides the point. Do you know what I mean? Like that's really irrelevant. There is turrets in the bounty that if you play it and get them, your base will probably become OP. But to be honest, that's completely irrelevant from this whole issue of this overdamage and whatnot. And
there's no way to win the turrets because you can't hold on to your bounty, and you've got to get the new warden, and then you got to get all of the other stuff. So it's a catch-22.
I think there's a further step on that as well, where it's not just this overdamage is a problem; it's the turrets after this bounty, which are a problem on top of this. Where they're just stacking issues upon issues upon issues without fixing the foundation they're working on. To the point where we're getting high damage on ships, but after bounty, it's going to be impossible for the ships to even get close. And then a couple of days later, there's probably going to be a new FM armor, which makes the ships OP again. But you're going to have to refit your ships, and you're going to have to refit your guard ships as well.
Well,
it's a vicious cycle of.
Do you know what I can see coming in the FM next week? Right, an armor that has deflection plus like 1,000 over damage deflection. I can see that coming.
I hate you and all that you stand for.
Because
I can see that too.
That's the kind of crap they pull.
They would. Yeah. Hi, Rom.
Hello, everyone.
You've come at the tail end of the overdamage. Remember, there is no swearing, but would you like to contribute?
Contribute? I don't know if it's a contribution or not. They just turned everything up on its ear. Most people were happy going into bounding. They had reached a point to where they knew what they expected, and then all of a sudden, Kix comes in and upsets the apple cart. And the most damage that it seems to have done are the people that are trying to grow in the game the most, the mid-level, maybe the mid-high, that didn't have the tier 7s that they could throw in their base for defense. So now what you got is all the high bases have onslaughts with engine disruptors, and everybody is driving to stop from losing, and nobody's going to blame them. You've got to try to keep your bounty, but it's turning the world over every time they do something, and they think that everybody's going to be happy. I don't get it. I don't get what the mentality is.
I mean, come on, guys. It's a strategy game. We have to adapt, right?
But nobody has
the best of solutions.
Right. Nobody adapts to a strategy overnight when it's going to cost them a tail load of coins. And yes, I almost said a different word.
Apparently, my tone of voice was not enough.
You're what?
The tone of voice. I'll get my sarcasm shirt. Hang on.
Yeah,
Just
problem.
wave your bag of salt around and we'll know.
Well, yeah, bag of salt, or
Is
you
that
need
it?
to get a hat that
Yeah.
says a tinfoil hat that says sarcasm on. Now, see, if you did that, that'd be cool.
It really, it's just a case of Pop-Tarts. Now, if I had a whole box, I might be able to fashion a hat. But I can't be bothered.
I don't know. It's just it's crazy when you set up a plan, you set up a strategy, and you're ready to go using your word strategy game, and then all of a sudden Kick says nope, toss that out.
Do you know, I've been building towards bounty for 4 weeks. I knew it was coming. I'm like, do you know what? I didn't get enough points last bounty, but I'm ready this bounty. My base is ready. My fleets are ready. I'm geared up for it. To hell with the raid. I was looking forward to bounty. And then bounty comes and boom, guess what? You're a farm. It's like,
go ahead.
I can't believe the fact that that they realized the problem and said, oh, as a sorry, let's make half repair till Saturday.
And then they stop it on Saturday. When
the
busiest day for base,
it's like, hang on a minute,
we're only going to do it for half of the thing. So Sunday and Monday, you guys, back to normal with the mess.
Well, when are the biggest base hitting days? Exactly. That's what I was going to say. Sunday's the day where you go out, because rarely is anybody going to be able to bank 57,000 points. So you're going to be able to get some. There's going to be a lot of bounty in the system. Now people aren't going to want to go hit.
Yeah.
Well, they're not going to hit. I mean, everybody that I've talked to that's high level that would even normally attempt it and comms is full of it and the pages are full of it, but they're not going to do it. Why would you try to get 57,000 in bounty when very few bases are able to repel those attacks? So why would I sit there and get that just to donate it to somebody else, to have somebody else come along 4 hours later and do the same thing? I can't hold on to it.
No, exactly.
Yeah, and I'm not way up there with the big boys, but I could hold my own against space attacks. But I know right now, and I've told everybody in my alliance and everybody I talk to that don't go over that last checkpoint, because anything that you've got other than your grants is just going to disappear instantly.
Yeah, but I mean, realistically, if you look at the numbers, we're banked right now at 54,000. If you just get the first 4 checkpoints, that's 8,000. That's 62. That's only half of what you need to get the things you need in the raid or in the bounty.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and most people aren't able to hold on to their bounty. So why would anybody even bother?
Well, once again, it's such a spread between the haves and the have-nots. It's crazy. The high-level guys that have bases that nobody can get in are all going to have the toys. And the guys that need it in order to keep progressing are not ever going to be able to break into PvP.
And come Monday, I mean, we don't see, there's no Conqueror Hall out here. There's no new armor. Come Monday, who's going to hit a base?
Who could hit a base?
You're not going to get by any of those things.
It's the worst bounty they've done to date.
Well, George, I just had something shocking happen in my base. Apparently, I walked off and forgot to put my guard fleet in, and when I came back,
that is happening a lot. Yeah, actually, I'm glad you mentioned that. I want everyone that's playing bounty and does this and pulls their guard to repair it. After you put your guard in, do something in the game for a little bit. Make sure the guard stays, and then refresh before you leave, because people are reporting that they're putting their guards back in, and then they get hit, and the guard is not in.
Yeah,
I've had several times where I changed my patrol range on some of my ships, and then I play around in base planner, and I look back at the patrol range, and it reverts back to the original one. A lot of people have said that they're repairing whenever they repair ships. It's not saving, especially whenever they go out on the map, they go and bank all this stuff. The only thing that we could do is upgrade a wall to save, manually save the.
Even that doesn't work.
And sometimes that doesn't work. I have a whole leader 3 times already this bounty. 3 times.
Yeah, I have a whole section of walls that I use to save, because I'll start repairs, and I'm so pissed off when I start a repair overnight. I come back and it's still not started. I've actually had it where I've started the repair, gone to the map, hit a base, come back, and the damn repair is not going.
Wow.
I'm having the opposite effect. I got flattened last night, and I wasn't on to see it. Wasn't on to click repair either. and when I got on, I'd been hit 3 times, and the base had started repairing each time without me clicking.
Yeah, I've had that. I've had that base
So-
repair without clicking it.
I lost 47 medals, or 49 medals 3 times, along with all of my bounty.
I mean, this is basic things. Like, these are very, very basic attributes in the game, and if you can't get this crap right for a PvP event that's centric with these things, just don't run the event. I mean, all you're gonna do is drive people away, piss everybody off. I mean, everybody's pissed off.
And the
Everyone-
thing is too about this being PvP, like Battle Pirates is sold as a PvP game. If you have PvP in your game, usually that is what drives sales. Yes, they know this. Yes, I'm telling it to them. Yes, they may think I'm thinking them dumb, but that's exactly what I'm doing because they just screwed up the biggest part of the revenue in their game. Like
Well, listen, but this is a time of the month where I get paid. I get paid monthly, and this is normally the time of the month when I'll drop a few thousand gold, 5,000 gold even. But I've dropped 50 gold so far this bounty. So that's and this is probably the most pissed off and the most angriest I've been in BP in I don't think I've ever been this pissed off. This is a bigger fuck up than the graphics change for Wars and the ship graphics change in like 2014. I mean, this is absolutely the most horrendous thing I've ever felt experienced in BP from my perspective.
Well, what company ever does this? What company takes everything that you know, everything that you understand, since the pass-through has been out there, we've all gathered a bit of an understanding, and then they all of a sudden just destroy it. That's like saying, okay, you made coffee for 50 years of your life with water and beans. Now we want you to put salt and sugar in there first and boil that. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I quite honestly feel like asking for a refund for the last 4 weeks of purchases. I really do. I'm not going to, but I should. I should say that.
Dare I ask, when did you build? When did you do the Wardens?
Straight after last bounty.
So like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right on that.
Dare I ask how much you spent on them? Do you mind saying, or?
Well, after that bounty was about 3.5K.
Okay, so that is the type of player that you've just pissed off, Kixeye.
Yep.
Like, he dropped that much to build the Wardens right after bounty, and then all of a sudden, next bounty, he can't do crap.
Well, that week after bounty, I spent about 1,000 coins a day bringing my base in line.
And see, if it weren't for the Wardens, I probably wouldn't be doing the bounty.
I think, in fact, earlier in the year when I was catching up on PvE and PvP and bringing myself back up to date after my 6 months, away from the game, I probably spent 1,000 gold a day for about 4 weeks to get myself up to speed. I didn't have any of the things.
All for naught now. All for naught in the next bounty.
Well, see, that was my point exactly going into this. They've taken people that are wanting to get back into the game to have a little bit of relevancy and just thrown it in their face. All the coins that were spent prior to that day getting ready for bounty were wasted unless it was spent on Warden or Onslaughts or whatever to put in your base.
It's the biggest dick. Sorry, excuse my French, Rue. I know, but it is the biggest penis move they've ever made.
Well, this is whenever Rue called me out on what I said the other day about somebody apologizing for Kickstarter or whatever. I had just found out that a family member had died. I come home from work, was ready to just blow off a little steam with the game, and all of a sudden somebody that can't hold metals worth crazy or worth crap comes watch my base. I'm sitting there thinking, okay, they're going to die to my hope. Wait a minute, my hope's gone in one shot? What's this about? Then all of a sudden I say, okay, the Eviscerator's going to wait. The Eviscerator's gone faster? Holy shit, I just got my base walked.
Yeah.
It's rather upsetting for players who sit above 600 medals to get walked by someone with half a fleet.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. Oh no, I guys, I totally understand what you're saying. I mean, and I'm not huge spending or coining, and I'm feeling the same angst, and I would be livid, if I were in that situation where I spent all of the coins and doing that. But never fear. It's not an apologizing thing. I mean, this blindsided everybody, and everybody. This is affecting everybody, even even lower guys. It's not just the big guys. It's across the board.
Well, they certainly aren't getting money out of me for a good while until they can show that they actually know what they're doing. And to be quite honest, I don't even know if I want to keep going. You know, they just seem to be doing one stupid thing after another.
Yeah.
You know, the FM issue. You know, now this issue. I mean, the Manticores, the original plan with the TLC, given they have corrected that, but it just seems like it almost feels like they're a bunch of bloody boys in a classroom, you know, playing us around like cattle and coming up with these stupid ideas and prodding us and seeing what they can. It's just it does like it's professional.
Well,
it's a professional outfit that they're delivering.
It's kind of like pushing the envelope and then backing up just beyond the point of where everybody's going to blow up. Okay, we're sorry. We're going to pull back, but it's still going to cost you more money, but we're not going to talk about that because we're going to come back and make the game just a little simpler. Okay, so now we've got the overdamage in there, and they said, okay, we're going to look at it. We're going to pull it back. Wait, why? After we've made adjustments to it, again, they're going to change it again, except this time they told us about it the day after Bounty started. Yeah, we see this as a problem. We're going to pull it back. Never mind the adjustments you're making right now to play the game.
They're certainly not doing it because we're upset because, you know, we don't see anything changing in the FM.
I know. But that's what I say. I keep going back to a movie, Burt Reynolds and I think it was Jackie Gleason, and The Best Little Whorehouse in Texas, where the sheriff keeps switching his hat in a certain direction to confuse you. You know, you're going one direction, all of a sudden you're going another direction, and you forget about how bad they screwed you in the first direction because they're screwing you in the second direction, and it pisses you off. So they pissed us off with the FM. Now they pissed us off with Bounty, so we've kind of lost a little bit of our focus for the FM until Bounty's over. But then when Bounty's over, they're going to pull the over damage off, and now what are we going to be screwed up with? It's like every move is bent to screw us over, to keep us off of our feet so we don't know what's going on. Sorry. Somebody?
No, I mean, dude, everybody's upset.
Yeah, it's...
I mean, you know...
Sorry, I had a hotel Wi-Fi issue there.
Oh my God, 2 Liams, one's bad enough.
Sorry, I actually cut out. I don't know why it's done that. Do you want me to see if I can...
You're fine.
You're good.
You're fine. Just on the massive failures, the Manticore, they stated to start with we needed the Manticore built for the TLC, and numerous players have coined the Manticore, including myself. And then the next day they've said we're changing the requirements for the TLC, which is fine, it's a good thing. But anyone who has coined the Manticore specifically to do the TLC, well, that's your problem now. You don't get anything for it. I think it's an awful shame and puts a lot of distrust into anyone wanting to spend their coins on anything for a specific purpose, because Kixeye can just change it and then say screw you.
Well, that goes back to the communication. They announced it one way in the raid, and then they did a complete 180, no notice until I think it was Rampage Reports where it first come out, and all of this type of stuff, angst, angry words, naughty words, cranky roo, all of that kind of stuff can be avoided by having that plan in place and saying this is the route that we're going to go, and then communicating that up front. I guarantee you that if people knew up front that if you win the Manticore, you're going to have it built in the TLC, in the raid, there would not be anywhere near as much anger from people as there was with people like you, Venom, who are basically double spending. And then to switch it, it's just, it's horrible because the people that spent the coin get screwed, although the rest of the players that can now do the TLC, hopefully with their Phoenixes and their Skyfires if they only got the whole. But, you know, it royally screws the folks that did spend the money, and those folks are the ones that are putting a lot into the game. And it's just how many times are we going to see it? And we've seen it a lot. How many times are we going to see it before the game gets to a point where everybody is leaving, or they're going to react.
Well, this isn't the first time they've done this.
No.
The whole TLC. It was the Fangtooth. The Phantom Fangtooth was one of them, where we got the Fangtooth in the raid, and then before the next raid, they were like, oh, here's the Phantom Fangtooth. And to get the Phantom Fangtooth, you had to have Fangtooths built. I couldn't do them with my Hell Wraiths, and I don't think I had a full fleet of Tideseekers, but either you do Tideseekers, you'd take a lot of damage and have to repair a lot.
Well, and then the other thing to add on to this is when they come in and they offer these new flagships that are going to help us, they always give us tickets to build what we've already got. I'm sitting on so many Fangtooth tokens that what are you going to do with them? You don't need Fangtooth that much anymore. I mean, other than for some of the TLCs, but you sure don't need a month worth of Fangtooth tokens sitting in your box.
Look,
60 of them.
I don't mind the tokens as much as the VXP ones, like in the TLC for the Eviscerator. Like I'm behind in PvP because I refuse to do that piece of crap TLC because it takes forever to go through all that for me. I can't stand driving the damn the subs. Why not do 1 month subs and 1 month hunters? Well, I mean something, because I am not sitting through that crap, and I miss out how many days of build tokens that way every time.
I thought it was.
Go ahead.
I thought it was funny that the Evis was on the TL offers, tournament offers.
Continuing what you're saying is they sit here and they make you go through these first rounds of the TLC, even though you're not going to get anything, which is forced damage.
Well, they keep March to War for subs because they keep trying to entice the grape sub driver Liam into doing it. That one is mind-numbing. It would be really nice to see that re-released with like maybe siege targets. So a siege version, so people could go ahead and do that with their other ones. Let's go ahead and update it. I mean, I do appreciate getting the Conqueror tokens, but I see that thing pop up and it's just like groan, grumble.
I did manage to do all five March Towards this time around. I had some help, but I managed to get there.
But you had to go through 1, 2, and 3 to get there, even though you had all the prizes, with the exception of the VXP.
Be right back.
I won't do it. I mean, I can drive subs. I just won't do it. I just won't do it. Because I want to have a game that's fun. That's not fun to me. That's not. I refuse to do that damn TLC.
Well, it's the repetitive nature is what gets me.
That's what I'm saying. Throw in siege targets and let me auto it with my buckies that I just spent 60 days building.
Yeah. Well, let me auto with my hunters, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
It's not just annoying to do. If you don't have the time, you really can't do it because you have to drive your subs.
Yep.
Exactly.
You're going to spend an absolute fortune if you try and do it any other way. And if you don't have the time, like I didn't have the time, I just wasn't here for it. I got one mastery round of the Eviscerator one done, and that was it. Didn't get the other one done. Didn't even look near it.
I'm curious as to whether we're going to be able to use the Cadies in the new upcoming TLC. That may be a personal issue, but I mean, it's a boat that was basically designed to go forward. Are they going to allow us to use it in the Manicore TLC? If they're going to allow you to use the backwards compatible fleets, shouldn't they make sure that you can use that?
If they do that, can they make a co-op campaign so someone with that can come in and help me?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, so we got about 15 minutes left. There are a couple other things that came up this week. We had Rampage reports on Friday where I believe he mentioned that the Dragon is supposed to be the hull for, I think he said, the rest of the year for the FM, along with tweaks and a flag. He did also touch on the overdamage, but we've talked about that a fair bit. But something else that he did mention in there, which I thought was interesting because it's the first official communication that we've gotten from Kix on the subject, is that they are looking to take Battle Pirates into HTML5, which of course pulls it off of Flash. And for those of you that are not aware, Flash support is going to go away, which means that there are vulnerabilities that can in the future be there that are no longer going to be mitigated. So, one thing I'm happy to hear that, because that means that there is a plan. But on the other one, and I think Liam's not here, so I'll throw him under the bus because he disappeared for a second. Is the game even still going to be here then, based on where they're going?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I want to know what the Twins reference was on the wall. Like, are we getting 2 hulls coming out?
Well,
I mean,
that would be
you
a
know.
flagship for the missile and a flagship for the scattergun variant of the Manticore.
Fantastic. So
But
yeah.
then why?
Yeah,
like,
two more
that
flagships with
doesn't.
18 days
Again,
each.
There's
I don't know
literally no
why we
reason
have to
why that
have.
should exist.
Yeah, why do we even have flagships at this point? They have CICs. They can be CIC centric and make the CIC build, 6 days, 7 days, but it's the flagship CIC. You know what I
Well-
mean? Like, there's no.
Because if they don't have the extended build days on the flagships, they can't entice people to coin as much.
You can put
put
that
it
in
into
the
the
CIC.
CIC.
I know you can. I just said it's to entice people to coin because they're going to get frantic. I can't get 2 of these built, but yet they're going to offer 2 million or 4 million bonus for having both of these fleets completed.
But so
you have
far on
not
all of
actually addressed what we mentioned. Like, it doesn't matter. The time is still the same. They're still going to have to rush. Even if you want to build an addition, like even if there's 2 flagship limited CICs and you put the build time up and up on those, you still have to build a blank hull,
Right?
and like still build the hull and put it on.
I agree.
It's still going to come off at the same time.
But the other thing too is even if they do, we talked about this about a month ago, even if they do throw that 2 million point bonus on there for completing both of the targets, with the structures that we've had with the last raids and the Buckies and the Hydras, you were able to go ahead and still complete your raid without doing that. So it's not a situation where I think it was like 2 million each, 2 million, and then 5 million bonus or something like that. So if they maintain the high payout level for that single target and then throw the little bit over there for the bonus, this is not something that's going. You don't have to do this, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
No, you don't. And we all know that, but they will because it will get them more coins.
Will it though?
Well,
I wonder.
Kicks can do that, but the players don't have to build that hull and they don't have to use that hull. I know plenty of people that never ever built their Hydras and are not planning on it.
And see, I love my
Oh, I
Hydras.
love my
And I only built Hydras because they dumped tokens on me for the
Yeah.
Hydras.
Yeah.
I only do tokens and FM tokens. I don't coin anything else at all. I try, and if it is, it's maybe small coins or using the shop tokens from the shop where it's discount, quote unquote.
And as long as they keep the TLCs in mind when designing these sorts of things, where the TLCs we're about to get now are going to be of the last 4 months of Siege Raid, as long as they understand that they need to design them so that either fleet can do them, then there's a lot less pressure on the players, and the players will have a sense of accomplishment going forward, and that they'll be able to get the new tech or tokens or whatever is in there without having to build 2 fleets, and that actually might make them, coin more or not quit.
But is that the case though, Brian? Because everybody and their dog was expecting a Siege TLC to get the Scorpion equipment for the Manticore, and that all blew up. So can we even rely on that we're even going to get and even see Siege TLCs other than the ones that we've already had?
I'm pretty sure. Well, between class-specific tokens, hull-specific tokens, VXP tokens, and Skirmish was for Conquer because that was about the time it was out. What if we see a March to War that is not god-awful to actually do, but for Defenders? What if we see different kinds of tech like the new Reaver Trap, which as of now has no use, but it might, and it's out there. There's tons of different content that could get behind Siege TLCs. Doesn't even have to be about.
I use my Reaver Trap.
Yeah, I'm not saying that they're not going to do it. I'm just saying that right now, as sketchy as everything, well, maybe sketchy is not the right word, but as leery as I am with everything that's happened, just recently after that period of doing so well, that I'm worried that, can we even make assumptions of that? I mean, I've gotten to the point where I don't tell people anything now. I say the expectation is blah, 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 but that is subject to change. And everybody's feeling that. I mean, across the pages and that kind of stuff, you make an assumption and, it no longer works.
But the thing is, if there's no TLCs for it, there's a lot less incentive to build it. Yes, these are becoming base part targets, but there's still standard drag bases. You could even build ironclads and hit the B set equivalents of what is becoming base part targets. I have no idea what any of that is, But when it comes out, you just don't hit the top targets. Yeah, it sucks, but that's a whole fleet less that you had to build that you can just not worry about for a while and focus on building, I don't know, Inferno Dragons, maybe.
Well, and the other thing, don't shoot the messenger, but what are we going to see in the upcoming Manticore TLC? Are we going to see assault style tokens with a limit like we did with the raid, or are we going to see, specific tokens for equipment? I mean, that whole thing was kind of a wow, didn't know they were going to do that. Or are we even going to see a group of tokens, or is it going to be a case of hope like you've got hope that you don't have a long build going because you can only claim 2 of these at a time?
I just don't understand the point of dissatisfaction that they breed into the players. Why don't they facilitate us in building boats to get us to play more, to keep us happy, to possibly see if we want a coin, instead of every single little move? If you're going to click your mouse one time, I need a dime. If you're going to click it twice, I need a dime. There is no facilitation in the game to make it fun for the players to advance. Every step equals more coins, almost to an exponential basis.
And time. I mean, I know there are folks that have no issues with coining TLCs and coining their repairs on their map while they're doing stuff, but not everybody is in that route. And if I have to spend 3 hours grinding out getting X, Y, and Z, that leaves me no time to even attempt base hitting or fleet versus fleet. And people are just getting locked into how much time I'm having to do this and how much time I'm having to do that. With the TLCs, especially when they're running duplicate TLCs that are both of the skirmish variant. I think we just went through that with March to War and whatever the other one was. You need that. You need those fangs for both of them. So now you've got to plan your night to, okay, I've got 2 hours of repair. I can do this, and then I got to, where's the time for fun?
Exactly. And speaking of that, pop-ups. How many times do I need to be told that I've got this many points to do this? And it just takes time. And it keeps your fleet on the water. Since nobody else is affected by the pop-ups other than the player, it keeps your fleet on the water. So if you've just hit a base and you've pissed somebody off, they can come out and snipe your fleet.
George, you were the one that brought that up initially.
I have my biggest pet peeve of all the stuff that they do. Yeah, the pop-ups are one of them, but the biggest one that I have is if you hit a base and I've had an expert tell me that this was lag. He obviously didn't know what the hell he's talking about. But if you hit a base and a player is on the game and they're in their base, the battle starts before you get in.
Yeah.
Okay? So you have a good chance of losing a hull or a fleet or whatever. It's ridiculous. What I'd like to know is why isn't that corrected? Because when you hit replay in your base, you have a damn countdown before that starts.
Yep.
Right? You can't get rid of that countdown. That's the most annoying thing. Why in the world do we have a countdown on a replay of a base hit as opposed to an actual base hit?
Well, but my question is, why is there a pause to begin with? Why? I mean, I don't want it to start immediately. Why can't they set a timer that, okay, player A is ready, player B is ready, go? Why does the base always get the advantage if they started early?
You're talking about logic here, guys. You're talking about things that make sense. I mean,
but I realize that is in sarcasm, Liam. But they bank on us. They bank on us writing this off. And this is sometimes I'm not going to get critical, and I'm not going to say you're apologizing because I understand that it's sarcasm. But they bank on our sarcasm to blow off the steam that we're trying to direct towards them.
I just want to go back to something that George brought this up when he was doing the VXP on the page, and Cuddle as well in chat. 4 hour, 20-minute repair per hull on the Manticores. Hello, what's going to happen on the map with those pop-ups and lag and snipers and people that
they don't care.
Don't get me started on that.
I know they don't care, but we're now in the realm of I'm not going to spend $4 to coin a repeat. I'm just going to use a bunch of naughty words and log off for the night.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Is this tactic or is this feature with the extended repair on the Manticores meant to slow the game down or entice you to coin?
The build Well, I don't think it's going to slow the game down because you're probably still going to need 2 fleets, even though they labeled it. They basically cheated the system because they said, "Hey guys, we're gonna make it so you need 1 fleet, although you need to build it twice." You know what I mean? So they kind of tricked us on that one.
Well, yeah, it was semantics. That's what kicks us.
Yeah.
But
But
we're only going to introduce 1 hull,
Well,
but
look,
there's going to be 2 variants of that 1 hull.
I don't think they quite understand what goes on in the game sometimes, because I don't think they understand that there's actually sniping, and it happens a lot. It's not like, I think when I first said it on the show, we were talking about the raid and everyone was in the raid mindset, and when I mentioned it, Brian had said something like it was an aberration, but it's not.
It's not
I'm
anymore.
a pleb. I'm sorry.
No, there are people that flat out
That's all they do.
Yeah, there are people in the game that refuse to build it and do nothing but snipe, or they'll go out and get their 100 million points for the things that they want, and then spend the rest of the raid sniping. And while I understand that it's part of the game, but when you've got people that can't afford to coin that or refuse to coin that, and then just screw this, I'm leaving. It ends up driving players away. And
But they've designed, here's the thing, they designed the hull. They are actually, they have to own that. They designed it. It's for the last time, like my Apollos, I didn't have to run armor. If I died, it wasn't like the whole fleet is about the same repair time as one of these things. If I don't even know if it's even that much.
As far as I'm concerned,
Hefe made a really good point, just if I can, that they had, he was saying at the start of the game, there was such a large safe zone around a base, and even outside of some things, and if you think of the differences in the targets, depending on that countdown at the end of the battle, you can hot exit. But if you're pulling out to recharge your armor for any type of TLC, there is no countdown. So if you're running a hull that's got that charged armor and somebody's sitting out there right at your tower, you're screwed. I can hot exit an FM target, I can hot exit everything else, but you can't with something with charged armor.
I generally cannot. I'm dreading this raid cycle. I hate the manticores. The build time is terrible. The repair time is terrible. I just hate the whole principle of them. I'm so dreading this raid. It's like I have these chills up my spine that it's a repeat of the Icebreaker Monolith raid cycle, where we're just going to be constantly barraged with refits all through it. And I feel like it's fell before it started.
Yeah, and I kind of wonder at how they're going to deal with the balance, because if we keep on continuing to need hundreds of millions of points, and then we have this hull that comes out that's 4.5 hours per to repair, are they going to strike the correct balance, or am I going to be coming out with double the damage that I am used to per point total compared to, like, say, last raid set or the raid set before, or you know what I mean? Like,
I'm having nightmares of intentional damage being inflicted like we've just suffered with the dragons.
Well, it definitely is. It definitely is that. They're trying to design. They're trying to outsmart us now. Before, as players, we would try and be smart and come up with designs and ship designs that we would be able to do things for the cheapest way possible, and that's always what we've done. And they're becoming smart to a point where they're designing particular weapons that are unavoidable.
But the problem, but Liam, the problem is that that's how we want to do it, right? And that's how we should be able to do it, because players are damage averse. They want to be able to do it for as little damage as possible, so that way they can keep on playing or be able to do more than one thing. And what they're doing is they're trying to design that out of the game, which is absolutely asinine.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you tell a player, hey, you can be the best shipbuilder in the world, but you're going to absolutely take 2 hours of damage in this target, screw you, I'm not playing.
Well, look at the last cycle. Look at the ballistic cannon, macerator, or whatever it's called. You know? No matter what fleet you've got, that turret outranges you. No matter what armor you've got, that turret puts damage on you.
Yeah,
and that's where we are.
It's damage you're going to take. There's no way to avoid it. And about 4 or 5 of the last 6 targets have all had the intended damage and no way to get around it.
Same as the FM. Exactly the same as the FM. It doesn't matter what fleet you build. It doesn't matter how good you are. You are always going to take a particular amount of damage because that's the way it's designed.
Well, the FM, I don't know. I mean, I notice it because I go in there and I look at it all the time. When you're sitting there hitting it, it seems like they've got it down to, regardless of what build you have, you can have a horrible build, you're going to take more damage. But most of the guys that I see talking are getting it done for about 2 to 2.5 hours, which is almost $1 or 10 gold for every target.
I'm doing it for an hour and a half.
Well, you are.
Yeah.
I said I'm talking in averages. I'm not talking in absolutes. Some
Mhm.
guys, most of the ones that I've seen it are between 2 and 2.5 hours. You're great. You do it in 1 hour and a half, so you're a little cheaper. But there are also guys that do it for 3 hours or 4 hours that are going to pay more if they were
quite-
paying.
Look, if
I know,
people
I know
don't,
that,
if
but
people don't
yeah.
want the FM to be the way it is, right? Then don't coin it, because if they're not going to make money off of it, then they're not going to keep it the way it is. I mean, that's just kind of like logic, right?
Yeah.
Vote with your wallet. Okay, we're coming up on the hour, but I do want to give everybody a quick chance to say something. So left to right, Brian, anything? Final thoughts?
This is one of the most unannounced and strangest changes I think I've ever seen. It shows, honestly, to me, it shows that kicks just have no idea what they're doing, even after something they claim great faith in at the start of the year, PvP balance. I have no faith in them for any sort of balance or decision making or much of anything.
Okay, George?
I would like to suggest to everyone take advantage of the half repair time, get your FM done, fill up on your chore stuff, fill up on, titanium, uranium, all that stuff. Take advantage of it, because we only have it for the rest of today, I guess.
Yep. Liam?
Well, I mean, firstly, I do want to say that, I hate to have a show where it's just like an hour of negativity, but I think sometimes things need to be said, so I do apologize to people that may think that we've spent an hour just ranting, but I think sometimes, Kickside pushes the boundaries and we have to do that. But as a show, we never set out to be, overly negative, but I think sometimes it's just a way of the state of the game. But I don't know. Other than that, I feel that I've said it all. I'm very frustrated, very angry, and if anything, I'm holding back on some words I'd like to say. But yeah, I hope to see them see the light come Monday, but I really doubt it. I don't have any faith in them.
Rum?
Have no faith in Kixeye. I feel like their heart is full of nothing but malice towards us, and we're the one that pay their bills.
Yep. Excellent point. Sol?
Well, I wanted to say something about the countermeasures, but
Go ahead.
since we were right, well, they did fix the FM countermeasures, but the countermeasures on the Night Watchers are still wonky. I'm shooting down executioners right now in your opponent base. I'm not sure if it's in regular bases, or I am actually shooting down executioner missiles in your opponent bases. I'd sent a ticket and I told Laredo about it, so he passed it up. I'm not sure how long it'll last, but watch out. I don't know what it's, I don't know if it'll counter X2s or not.
It
So-
doesn't counter AX2s, it's just countering the old Executioner.
Yeah, the old executioners can get shot down.
Yep.
No, the blueprint said no, they're not supposed to, though.
No, there's
Deadeye?
Executioner, Deadeye Executioner, and then EXE2.
Yeah.
And the original Executioner can be mitigated with counters.
Yep.
Okay.
The issue with the EX2 is it's hitting the target before it's supposed to. So it'll look like it disappears slightly away from the ship, but it is actually hitting.
But wouldn't there be an explosion on the ship?
Yeah, there is. Well, depends if it hits.
Okay. Venom, last thoughts?
What they do next, and how they how they seek to resolve the issues that we have at the moment, will impact whether or not I stay or if I completely leave. And it's just down to them. They've made the mistakes, and they have to own up to it and have to fix it.
Yeah, well, I would hate to see you go, but I can certainly understand why. And I know you're not alone in that. There are a lot of people that have just walked away in sheer frustration in the last couple of weeks.
Yep.
For me, again, thanks to everybody that's come in chat. We appreciate everybody's help on the page. Don't shoot the messenger. Sometimes we're just sharing the information. We're not privy to everything that Kix does, nor are we privy to testing everything that Kix does. But where we can, we do, and we certainly put a lot of time and effort into it. So with that, we'll go ahead and end this now, and we'll talk to everybody on Tuesday, and hopefully we'll be able to share some good news.
Yep. Everybody have a good night. Good luck in the rest of the bounty, and take advantage of that half repair.
Yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Night all.
Night all.
Good night. Vote with your wallet.